I'm like, I'll get in the middle and do double stuff, so I might include that. I hope so. I like that sort of that. I like it rough. There you go. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You are doing the Lord's work. Never change. Thank you. Great river. Very lucky. Thank you. Thank you.
We're on the cutoff doing a $15 double board bomb pot, and we're dealt ace-6, 4-2 with 3 clubs to our 6. We go 8 ways to 2 flops. The first board is ace-5-4 with 2 spades. The second board is 10-6-6 rainbow. The big blind leads out for the full pot of $120, and it folds to us. We flop top and bottom pair plus a gut shot straight draw on the top board, and 3 sixes on the bottom board. If we were in an earlier position, I'd be concerned about continuing because while this one opponent may not have us beat on both boards, we could risk being up against multiple players where we're second best against each. But since we're in the cutoff with position on this opponent, I feel like our hand is strong enough to continue against the out of position player. We go heads up to the turns, which fall the ace of clubs and the 3 of hearts. Our opponent in the big blind shoves all in for 360. We've turned aces full on the top board, and picked up a gut shot straight draw on the second board to go with our 3 of a kind. We have a pretty easy call in this spot. The rivers come the jack of clubs and the 9 of hearts. Our opponent reveals the king-9, 6-3, suited in spades to a 6, having flopped an open-ended straight flush draw on the first board, and turned 6s full of 3s on the second board. On the flop, we were 51% equity on the top board, and 61% on the bottom board. On the turn, when the rest of the money goes in, we're now 95% equity on the top, and the bottom we drop to 15% equity now that our opponent has filled up. In the end, we wind up chopping this one up. We're on the cutoff and dealt ace-queen, 9-5 suited in hearts to our ace. Under the gun raises to 15, we make the call. The big blind re-raises to 65 and under the gun calls. Actions on us, and while our hand isn't super strong, as the connectivity between the various cards isn't all that great, there is some level of connectivity for multiple straights, and having a nut suit, plus position on both opponents in a raised pot, is enough for me to continue. The flop falls ace-jack-6 rainbow. Our opponents both check, and we take the free card. The turn comes the 9 of spades. Our opponents once again check to me, and now with them waving the white flag of surrender with checks on both streets, plus our turning aces up, we bet the full pot of 200. They both fold, and we take it down. We're in the big blind holding king-king, 10-6 with 3 diamonds to our king. Middle position makes a raise to 15, and we wind up going 4 ways to a flop. The flop comes down king-4-2, rainbow. On boards like this, that shouldn't hit many players' ranges as far as draws go, we opt to check to the raiser, expecting she might try to take a stab at it, figuring none of us has hit this board. She doesn't disappoint, betting half pot of 30. We make a check raise to 80, and our opponent shoves all in for $140, and we call. She only wants to run it once. The board runs out the 3 of hearts and the 3 of diamonds, and we show our kings full. She turns over ace-ace, jack-4, and we were lucky to outflop her aces and take this one down. Under the gun calls 5. We're in middle position, and we call with ace-queen, 10-4, double suited in spades and clubs. You can certainly raise a connected double-suited hand like this that has high card strength, but I've discussed in previous videos, I prefer to pull weaker players into the pot so that when I make a strong hand, they'll be in there to pay me off with the second best holding. The small blind calls, and we wind up going to a flop of 10 of hearts, 7 of spades, 4 of hearts. When it checks to us, we flop top and bottom pair and a backdoor flush draw, but we're only up against a couple of opponents and decide to take the aggressive option, betting the full pot of $20. Since we don't block the flush or straight draws here, if our opponents continue, we should be able to narrow down their ranges and play accordingly on future streets. Both the small blind and under the gun call. We go 3 ways to a turn, which is the king of spades. When they check to me, I've turned a boatload of equity, picking up a gut shot Broadway draw and the nut flush draw. I continue the positional aggression, betting the full pot of $80.
Pot.
I like to believe evidence. Of course. I don't believe women, I don't believe men, I believe evidence.
Did you forget your hearing aid today? That's why you can't hear me.
I'm listening to like conversations, and you know, I was going to tip you, but then you gave me that snide remark.
We're in the small blind playing a $15 double board bomb pot, and I'm dealt ace-ace, 10-5, suited in diamonds to our ace. The first board is Ace King Queen with 2 clubs. The second board is 9-4-2 with 2 clubs. We flop top set on one board plus a gutshot Broadway draw, and on the second board we have our overpair of aces plus a gutshot wheel draw. However, with multiple flush draws possible and a made Broadway also a concern, we check for pot control hoping to get to the turn cheaply. Middle position bets the full pot of 105. The cutoff calls, we call, and now early position shoves all in for 570. Middle position calls, the cutoff shoves all in for less, and we side fold. The turns come the 8 of spades and the jack of hearts, and then the river, the jack of spades and the 9 of hearts. The first player that shows down ace 9, 9-3 suited in hearts to his ace, having flopped top set on the bottom board. The player who originally bet the flop and got check raise reveals 10-7, 4-4 suited in spades to his 10, having flopped middle set on the bottom board, and that's it. And the lady in the cutoff reveals Queen 8, 5-5 suited in clubs to her queen. So with the ace and king of clubs already out there, on the top board she was drawing to the nut flush on both boards. The $10 straddle is on. We're in the hijack holding ace 9, 8-3, double suited in clubs and spades. Under the gun +1 calls, we make the call. Now the cutoff raises it to 50. The straddler folds, under the gun +1 folds, and we're left all alone and we make the call for 50.
Oh, you're going to leave me alone with them? All right.
We go heads up to a flop of 6-5-3 rainbow, and we both check. The turn is the 3 of clubs, and I've made 3 of a kind that's well disguised. My opponent, if he has an overpair, may think it's good now, so we check hoping he'll bet thinking it's for value. He doesn't disappoint, betting $100. We don't want to scare him off, so we just call. Hold my wine, bitches! The river is the 3 of diamonds, giving us quads. Now, if he's got an overpair, he's definitely going to think he's in good shape, so we check again. He bets $220. And here's where we fuck up. Instead of announcing raise, we just grab a bunch of chips, believing it's enough to constitute a raise. But it's not enough, as we only put out $325, so it's rule to call. Ah! He shows down Jack-Jack 10-7.
I fucked up. I didn't grab enough chips. I should have said raise.
We're playing a $15 double board bomb pot. We're in the cutoff holding 9-6, 5-3, suited in diamonds to our 9. The boards come out 8-7-2 with 2 hearts, and 9-6-3 with 2 spades. So we flopped a smaller wrap draw on the top board and all 3 pair on the bottom board. But while this looks spicy because we hit both boards, the problem we face is that we don't have either of the flush draws possible on either board, so we want to go for pot control at the moment and see what develops. It's check to the button, who bets 105, and he's been very aggressive. The big blind calls, middle position calls, the hijack calls, and we close the action and call as well. The turns come the 5 of clubs and the 8 of clubs. Now we've turned the nut straight on the top board, and we still have 3 pair on the bottom board, plus a gut shot straight draw that may be no good if somebody already has 10-7 in their hand. However, when it checks to us with the nuts on one board and a decent hand on the second, we opt to take the betting lead and we bet the full pot of $630. The button now shoves all in for $1,055. The big blind shoves in for less, for $500, and we make the call. The rivers come the Queen of Diamonds and the 2 of Clubs, and the button shows down 10-9, 7-7. The big blind doesn't show his hand, and we were extremely fortunate as the button actually had a shot at scooping us here. Up top, he had an open-ended straight flush draw, plus a set, so we were an even 50-50 coin flip on that board when the money goes in on the turn, and on the bottom board, he's got a higher straight, and our only chance to win is by filling up, giving him 87.5% equity. So this was actually a really bad spot for us to play for stacks, and we were very lucky to escape not getting scooped.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
We limp in early position holding ace-queen, 8-5, suited in diamonds to our ace. There's 2 callers, and now the button makes it 30. The big blind calls, we call, and both limpers call, and we're going 5 ways to a flop, which comes down 7-5-2 rainbow, and it's checked all the way around. The turn is the Queen of Clubs. When it checks to us, the Queen doesn't change the board texture in any meaningful way, except that it's just given us 2 pair. We figure we're ahead at this point, so we bet the full pot of $155, only the big blind calls. The river is the 9 of hearts, and we both wind up checking it down. He announces 2 pair, as do we, and he turns over King Jack 9-7. So he turned a flush draw, and then he rivered our worst 2 pair, and we'll take another pot down. Under the gun limps, the hijack calls, the cutoff calls, and the button calls, and we're in the small blind holding Queen, Jack 4 suited in clubs to our Jack. For $5, we'll get in there, and the big blind tags along as well. We're going 6 ways to a flop, which falls Queen 5-4 rainbow. We flop top set and backdoor clubs, but we don't expect many of our opponents to be able to bet this flop texture, and we don't want to have it check around and let them hit a straight or pick up additional equity with a flush draw, so we bet the full pot of 30. We get no respect. The hijack, cutoff, and button all call.
No respect at all.
The turn is the Jack of Spades. We still have the nuts, but additional draws have come in for straights and flushes, and now we're also double blocking ourselves from filling up, as we have a Jack and a 4 in our hand. So we can't let up off the gas, and we bet the full pot again. However, we just can't shake these guys, as all 3 call again.
No good, I can't maneuver. Stay on target. We're too close. Stay on target.
The river is not a great one, falling the 10 of hearts, bringing in some backdoor straights.
Loosen up!
We check, and surprisingly, it gets checked around, but unfortunately, the button shows up with Queen 10, 9-8 for the bottom end of the straight to take this sizable pot down. Looking at the equities against just her hand on the flop, we were a monster favorite with more than 93% equity. However, the Jack of Spades on the turn brought her significantly closer with us, only having a 2-to-1 equity advantage as she picked up a nice wrap straight draw that came in. We're playing a $15 double board bomb pot. We're on the button with Jack 7, 6-3 suited in clubs to our 7. The flops come down 9-5-4 and King 10-5 rainbow. The hijack leads for $75. We're on the button with position on the field, but we're really only strong on the top board, having flopped a wrap straight draw. With nothing on the second board, it can be okay to fold here as well, although since we have position, we opt to gamble a little and we come along. The big blind calls and under the gun calls as well, and we're going 4 ways to a turn. The turns fall the 6 of diamonds and the ace of spades. The hijack bets the full pot of $435, and here's the problem with our straight draw on the top board. Not all the cards that give us the straight also give us the nuts. We've turned the second nuts, but we have pretty much 0 equity on the bottom board, so at best, we'll be playing for half the pot here, and at worst, we could be drawing dead and getting scooped, so we opt to lay this one down. This session we were in for $2,000 and out for $2,643 for a decent profit of $643 for the night. Just a heads up to any viewers who might be in the area, Jen and I will be heading down to San Antonio, Texas for the Rounders Card Club 1.5 million guaranteed South Texas Poker Championship, and I'm planning to play their 1 million guaranteed main event, even if it is 2-card poker. We're arriving November 18th, departing the 22nd, so if you're in town, stop on by and say hello.
Come on down and meet some of your favorite content creators, including Mickey Limo, Ashley Sleeth, Ryan DePaulo, Jesse Sylvia, Ebony Kenny, Sashimi, Robert Kuhn, Poker Traveler, Bet on Drew, and Barstool Mincy.
So in my last video, I discussed tipping dealers, and I got a kick out of a viewer, Mark Evil, who commented that he tries to balance his tipping and abuse. Sounds tip theory optimal to me. Also saw a comment from an old hometown buddy, Jason Patch. We used to be on a bowling league together. We were also part of the same Police Explorer unit back in Hubbardston, Massachusetts, way back in the day, man. So it's good to hear from you. Hope things are going well for you guys, and thank you for following the vlog. Appreciate the support. That's going to be a wrap for this one. As always, leave any comments or questions you may have down below. I'm always happy to respond to everyone, and we will see you in the next episode.
You know, after watching a video like this, sometimes I'll like it, sometimes I'll leave a comment, and sometimes I'll subscribe. Sometimes I'll even do all 3.